today we are continuing to go through the AAMC's MCAT guideline. There's their own study guide telling us what is going to be on the MCAT. We are going through Psych Soch, and Small, not tall, I'm tall, you're small, is going to tell us about attention.
So everyone pay attention.
Yes, pay very close attention to attention.
So this will probably be one of the shorter videos that we have, but it's really good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So attention is defined as, focusing on one sensory input from your sensorium, your sensory environment. I don't think I've seen that in very many places. It might not even be a word you need to know.
Yeah.
But your sensory environment is your sensorium.
So that would be like we've talked about this example before, where like you're wearing clothes, but maybe I'm reading this, so my body is not wasting time on knowing that I have clothes on, and it's really focusing on reading.
Perfect.
Okay.
And so selective attention is intentionally focusing on one input, and we kind of think that we're ignoring everything else, but there's been more recent theories developed that although we're focusing on one thing, we're not truly ignoring everything else. We're just silently processing it in the back of our brain. And this is kind of shown to be the case by that cocktail party effect that we talked about earlier, where, if you're having a conversation with somebody at a cocktail party, everything is silently being processed, so like you hear someone filling up the punch bowl, or you hear someone asking somebody else if they want hors d'oeuvres or whatever, but you think you're just focusing on the conversation that you're in, and you're not processing the other stimuli. But if someone mentions your name in a conversation, because you are silently processing and you're not truly ignoring everything else, you can pick up on your name.
That's signal detection theory.
Yeah.
So I could see like an evolutionary use for that. That if you're if you're a gazelle and you're drinking water, you're focusing on the water or whatever, but you still are processing other things because you never know when a crocodile is going to come out or something. You have to be ready to go. So instead of turning on everything and then responding, it's already on, but it's just kind of going silent in the background.
Yeah, so it's not like they made a 180 in their explanation of how this happens, but it is an important distinction, right? That we are still processing things. We're, like we mentioned earlier, we're getting bombarded with sensory information all day long, all sorts of different stimuli, and if we focused on all of them, we'd go crazy.
Yeah.
There are actually, psychological conditions where people can't filter what they need to filter, and they're just way overstimulated, so they don't know what to do. They can't handle it.
I think that goes along with the people who have those crazy memories. Like they have like you could ask them, what happened on this exact date 14 years ago, and they can recount everything.
Oh, wow.
They can tell you everything that was going on because they don't know how to filter things.
Right. So that is selective attention, picking, all right, I'm studying, I can have music in my ears, but I'm really focusing on this homework. I'm kind of drowning out what I'm hearing in my ears. And I found, like, for an example for me, I can't listen to music with words, because if I do, then I get distracted and I can't select my attention to my homework.
Right.
But if I listen to like jazz or classical music, then I can focus on my homework and I can ignore it because I'm not familiar with it.
Right.
And I don't know the words associated with it and everything. So the opposite of selective attention is when you become really good at something, you can use divided attention. So like when I'm driving, the first couple of times you drive, your parents are like, don't use the radio, don't roll down the windows, don't get distracted.
Right.
And then, you're 3, 4, 5 years in, and the first thing you do when you hop in the car, in the driver's seat, is to flip on the radio, right?
Yeah.
Do I want to listen to a talk show today or some music or whatever? But the only reason you've acquired the ability to do that is because you can successfully divide your attention between being safe on the road, checking your mirrors, turning when you need to, stopping at stop signs, all of that, and listen to music and sing and maybe have arguments in your head or something like that. A lot of processing goes on when we drive.
Yeah.
So anyway, divided attention requires us to use controlled or effortful processing. Oh no, that's not divided attention. That is selective attention. So maybe the first time I do something complicated, like the first time I did protein purification in the lab, or the first time you learn how to make a specific dinner or something that maybe has a bunch of steps. You are using controlled and effortful. Okay, this happens first and this happens next, and this is why that order is important. And then eventually you don't have to put effort into that processing. It just becomes automatic. And so automatic processing is the thing that allows us to do divided attention.
Okay. So controlled, effortful processing, that makes sense just instinctually. It's, you're having to put a lot of effort into doing something. Automatic, you could possibly be thinking about something else while you're doing this. It's hard to grasp, but I think I understand that.
Yeah, they kind of make intrinsic sense.
Yeah.
And so the example I put on for divided attention was, think of the world's best soccer mom who brought all her kids to the field and is in the process of listening to an audiobook, folding her laundry in her super suburban car, planning dinner with the Publix app online. She's done all of that stuff so many times before that it's automatic processing for her. And
it's
so
like a procedure.
Yep, exactly. So she can divide her attention and still be successful.
Interesting.
Yep.
And that was it for attention. It was a pretty short
and sweet
section. But once again, that's important. That's why going through AAMC's actual study guide, where they laid out very clearly, they said they gave a special distinction for what is attention, and then they said there's going to be 5% of the questions on attention or something like that, and then. So, they said it right there. These little bullet points are going to make up 5% of the test, so know all those.
Yep.
All right, strong work.